What's up, guys? Alexander Thomas here. Welcome back to Game Time 123. Today we are going to be looking at some of the cards that have been made on Magic NGT Cardsmith, which is a site I create a lot of cards on. And we are going to be looking at that, looking at a lot of the cards on there and see what he has. Now I'm going to look at these as if they could be actually played into the game. If they either could be made, if they could or could not be played. There are a lot of cards, so I would expect that some of these cards are probably not going to be able to be played in the actual game of Magic, but we're going to look at them as if they were able to be played. So we're going to take a look at the end, and we're probably going to go for quite a few of these. So let's start with the first one. The first one is the Undead Panthers, favored by 17 people. It's got Flash, which means you can play it at any time, as if you would play an instant. It's got Persist. Whenever this creature dies, if it has no 1/1 counters on it, then returns to the battlefield with a 1/1 counter. So it becomes a 2. When it comes back to the field with a 2/1. It's a zombie cat. Whenever Undead Panther enters the battlefield from the graveyard, may destroy target creature. Does that work? Cut off its head, and it will still have power in its bite. Oh, I love it. The problem is this doesn't work like you might think this. While a card does this kind of make sense, it enters the battlefield from the graveyard. The problem is it actually never hits the graveyard. Persist means whenever it dies, it comes back as 1 counter. It doesn't actually go into the graveyard. So this isn't, the persistence doesn't actually work as it is. This doesn't, so while this persistently could work, it is way too expensive for its mana cost. Sadly, it doesn't ever hit the graveyard. Because whenever something dies, it would go to the graveyard normally, but with Persist, it returns back to the battlefield without even hitting the graveyard. So unfortunately, this doesn't quite work yet. I think it's way too expensive for a 3/2. It's sure you can play it any time, and if Persist actually did work the way it is, that would be nice. But unfortunately, it doesn't quite work yet. So on a scale of 1 to 10, now I gotta give this a 3. I think it doesn't quite work. It's really too expensive. That's when we look at a lot of these cards. I'm gonna say, looking as if how expensive it is, if it's too powerful, if it was broken. Currently, this is a 3. I think this is a reasonable card, and I think you could put this in Magic. But you gotta reword the cards. It would need to say something like, whenever Undead dies and return, then you can destroy a target creature. That's what it would have to say, and unfortunately that's only it. And unfortunately, it's really too expensive for the mana cost for it. It's not bad. It's not bad. For an uncommon, that's probably the right rating for it. Alright, take a look at the next one here. We got Aishma's Tears. Counter to opponent's spell. The spell costs the amount of... No, wait. This spell costs the amount of spell you're about to counter. Okay, that's really badly worded. The spell costs the amount of this. Okay. So it's what they're trying to say here is it costs equal to whatever the spell you're trying to counter is. This is terrible. This is not good. You counter spell. There's so many other good cards for this. There's no black cards, so maybe that works. But there are some other cards that do exactly the same thing. Well, I like the idea. It's worded wrongly. It should say this can cost equal to the spell you're trying to counter. Thanos' mana cost that you're trying to counter. So while I think the idea makes sense, and as an instant that does work, it would make more sense for just to have a amount of mana cost. Is this plannable? In the wording right now, I'd say no. It's not. It's not credible right now. I'm gonna give this a 3 as well. It's. I like the idea. I like the idea. It just doesn't have the cost in it. It just doesn't. It's not worded correctly. That's the next one. I'm not gonna probably something enhancer. Sacrifice a creature. Sacrifice this card. It deals X damage to any target where X is the sacrifice creature's power. Okay, this is possible. You sacrifice a creature, whatever creature it is, and then you deal damage equal to it. So basically really what it's saying is a sacrifice a creature that you control and deals damage equal to any target. So that could be really good. It's not uncommon. It's an uncommon. It is honestly very close to being a rare. This is a reasonable card. I'd say 7. I think it does have a potential. It's potentially a card. I'd say. I think it's. I think it's reasonable. Would I put this in a deck? Probably not, but it's a good card. It's a good card for this one. It's a good start. What was that card? What was the card being used? By Sid Ruffle. I think it works. Doom of the Great Snatcher. It's a legendary creature, human, rogue, wizard. And it says it has reach. Wow. I mean, it doesn't know spell, but images don't matter. Whenever a permanent would be put into its owner's hand, you gain control of it instead. Oh, that's broken. Oh my goodness. So that's ridiculous, and honestly, that is insane. Okay, I'm gonna play this. There's some cards that do that. Say, all right, return it to your hand. Instead, I gain control of it. Oh my goodness! This could easily be put up as being mythic. That's a really good card. And rare is probably honestly a reasonable place to put this. I definitely say that. 9 out of 10. The reason I say 9 out of 10 is because it's just a little bit overpriced. I think if you lowered it by 1, it would be perfect. Definitely. Don't worry, I'll give it back later. I love it. It's a good card. Great card, Ice Highlight. Brood of Mythos. Reach and Death Clutch. Whenever a creature card is put into the opponent's graveyard from anywhere, put a 1/2 spider group token on the battlefield. 4/2 for instance. Yeah, this is reasonable. Uncommon. Yeah, I see it. I don't know what creature type that is. I guess it's supposed to be a spider. But let's see. Whenever a creature card is put into an opponent's graveyard, so if they discard a card from anywhere, so if they discard the card, you get rid of a card, destroy a card, it goes to the graveyard, you get 2 cards. That's actually interesting. I think this is reasonable. It's all 10 out of 10. And honestly, it's probably the right rating, frankly, for it too, because that is actually really, really good for this. So, Ilchelon, I'm gonna try to pronounce it, but this is a good card. This is a really good card. I'd say 10. I'd say it's 10. Definitely printable. Definitely a printable card out of Magic. Is it going to be printed? Probably not, but, we'll see. We'll see how it works. Next card we got is Failed Ultimation. Ooh, gosh, that's expensive. Exile all creatures. And for each creature card, exile this way, create a 1/1 a copy of it, except it's 1/1 Spirit additional Nurse types. Why would you want to play this? Why would you want to play that? Exile creatures. I mean, if you're losing pretty badly, then that could be really good. But that's ridiculously expensive. That's four costs. I don't even know what the writing is read, but goodness. I see potential. I see potential for the card. And honestly, that's probably the right rarity for it. I mean, that's probably where they would do it. Do I think it's going to be usable? You get you get a copy of it. That actually could be ridiculously good if you get it. So honestly, it's a really good card. I feel like that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. It grants a mask to all 2 cowardly to the face of the spoilers. That's actually, I think, it's really good. It's a little expensive. That's the only thing I would say about it. I think it's a little expensive. I think if you made it a white, a blue, a black, and a red, then it would be perfect. Maybe you do 1 white, blue, black, red. I think it's a good card. It's a good one on Crusher. It's a good card. I think it's probably not likely to be ever used because of how difficult it would be to play it, but it's a good card. I would say 7. I think it's a reasonable card. It's printable. Golem of the Burning Sun. It's an element golem. Whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, choose 1. Add a colorless. Search your library for a basic land and reveal it. Shuffle your library and put the card on top of it. Okay, so you shuffle your library and put a card. So basically, you pick a land to put it on top after shuffling, and target creature gains hexproof until end of turn. Yeah, I see it. I see it being available. Rare. Okay, yeah, I know it is. I don't think the first one will be used, but I definitely see it. It's a good card. Good card. Monobol. It's a good card. First strike. 3/2. It's first strike 3/2. Okay, physically it's possible. There are probably a lot of creatures in 3/8. Okay, I can see it. For a common, that's print Dragon Devil. I think it's a little bit too expensive. I think it probably need to go down 1. But honestly, I think it's reasonable. First strike for 3/2. That's decent. I think it's 8. Well, I don't think it. I think it's a little bit expensive. That's why I want to give it an 8. I think it's really good. Next one we got here. Let's see what we got. Crystal Heart. Draw 2 cards. Hey, we pot green, guys. It's not pot green, but it's close to that. You gotta draw 2 cards. There are some cards like this, and honestly, this is probably my cost. I might actually say there are cards now that have 2, and then you like 2, and then you put black, so it's 2 over black. There are cards that do that now, so I might say you do 2 or black. I might say you change the alternate granite cost a little bit, but honestly, this is perfectly reasonable. Really good. I'm gonna add to my favorites. I think this is a really good card. If I add your cards to my favorites, I think it's really good. I'd say easily a 10 for those. It's definitely printable. Now, if you can make an instant, that'd be ridiculous. Let's see. Well, next one we got Beast. I'm not gonna look at tokens because they're just created. They're just created things. They're not really do much. Zigamol. I don't even pronounce that. It's a lead creature demon. Whenever this creature enters the battlefield, destroy all creatures and create 1/1 sprawling creature token for each creature destroyed this way. Funguses have Death Touch. Why? And can't control the target creature. Oh yeah. Now this is this to me should be a legendary creature, not a land creature. I don't even know exactly how land creatures work. I only know of like one land creature. I made an entire deck of land creatures, but they all had a special ability called land manipulation, which was something you could basically play it as a creature or you play it as a land, basically making it so nothing you didn't have to have any lands. Mythic is probably right. I don't know why this fungus is a death touch because it creates Sprawlings. But honestly, this is printable. This is definitely printable. I'd say 9. I think it is. I think it's a little bit too powerful. Just because if it's, and honestly, you made one error. It's a land. It should not be a land creature. It should be a legendary creature. But still, very good card. Great. I'm not gonna pronounce that. It's a Salius. Good card. I'm my favorite. That's a great card. Next card we're gonna get here is gonna be Ahild Gyaldhald. Whenever it enters battlefield tapped. A lot of those gates do enter tap, so I'm not surprised about that. Whenever it enters battlefield, return a gate to its own hand. Oh, that's interesting. You have to return a gate to your hand. Does that actually already exist? I'm wondering if that card exists. No, it doesn't. Okay. That's actually really interesting. You can add 2 mana of different colors to mana. That's actually ridiculously good. Definitely a rare. You might see it a little bit lower as an uncommon, but yeah, definitely 10. Definitely printable. Would I use this? Probably not, but it's definitely a good card. I'm gonna add to my favorites. That's very good. Clayton Snyder, great. That's a really good job. That was, of course, this was several years ago. I'll point out that, but you know, that's really good. Next one we got here is gonna be. I don't know what it is. It's another. Hey, you got this one right. Legendary Teacher Demon. It has haste and vigilance, which a lot of these creatures don't have. A lot of them, rare creatures wouldn't have vigilance. They have haste maybe, but not vigilance. That's pretty good. At the beginning of your each combat phase. Oh gosh, that's a lot. That's like once every turn. An opponent will flip a coin until they get heads. You may take an extra combat step for each tails flipped. Now, this is a way too. This is broken. There's no way this card would be printed. This is one of those cards I think could be in like an unset because oh my gosh. Basically, you can attack multiple times. Imagine this. You're playing a card. I don't know if I can have any coins over here, but oh, here's a coin. So, let's just see what happens here. Go ahead. Let's flip. Okay, well, it's failed. But let's assume it keeps going. Let's assume it goes tails, it's twice, even twice, and then it goes heads. You get 2 combo steps. Unfortunately, there is a flaw also in this card. Because it does say, may take an extra combat step for each one of them. Bad news is, you can only attack the creatures that have vigilance, or you have creatures that untap. So, I mean, there's a little bit of a flaw somewhat. I think this is reasonable. I'm going to say 6. I think it's an unset card, and it definitely would be a mythic, I say. Definitely mythic. Maybe you might get away with it being a rare, but definitely a good card for that. Puros. And if opponent controls a demon relic, it costs 3. So basically, it's free if opponent controls demons. So all you do, give an opponent a demon or an imp, or they're playing demon imps. Then it costs free, and you get to add 2 mana. That's actually broken. Does that say mythic? No, it's rare. I could see this easily being mythic. This because of how ridiculous it is. Pure lows is it. Add that to favorites. 10 would be I think it's absolutely a 10. And if there are cards like this, you could just. That is ridiculous. Adding two mana to your mana pool, that's ridiculous. They've been trying to fix Black Lotus, and they've done a lot of failures. This would be a really good one. I would say, if there are several other ones. I mean, if we have another one, I'll skip if Disney do. I would say yes, definitely favorite this. Fascinated to Kill 7. That's ridiculously good. I definitely say it's good for that one. Vigil Spirit. Good damage. No, that's terrible. That is terrible. They got shocks and plenty of other cards that just do 2 damage and have other effects that help you. Is it a common? Yes. It easily should be like 2 or black. And no, I don't see it. I see it works. It would be printable, but 5 for me. I think this is going to be a reasonable card, but it just doesn't. It's just too weak. There are other cards. If you're going to do that, you're going to put like shock or something in here, or some other things. There are a lot of other new cards that are like red. And there's cards now that actually just do you extra damage, allow you to do damage, and do other additional things. So I think this would be printable, but I think it's a little expensive. Next card for this one, here we see Owl Griffin. Oh, flying. Okay, it's also white, blue. Whiter blue, and it has flying. It's a bird griffin. Whenever it enters the battlefield, if it was cast, gain 1 life for each white spent. Oh, so whenever you play it, and you can just scry 1 for each blue spent. Why? Okay, so you would only ever play is for white and maybe 1 blue. The reason why I say that is because it says and scry 1. Because all you would do in this case is look at the top card, look at the top card. For every blue spent, there would be no reason to play any more than blue because of the way scry works. When you scry 1, you look at the top card, unless they're trying to say that you can put scry 1, put it on the bottom, and then you do it again. That's not how this card reads, unfortunately. And I am working on becoming a MTT judge. And the way it would work here is you would actually scry 1, then you put it back on top. The scry trigger already goes over. You would just be looking at the same card several times. Maybe it works. Uncommon is probably correct. I think it's a little weird. I think you could probably get this a little bit lower and it would be weird. Uncommon is probably weird. I'm not going to favor it because I think while spending 3 white for this would work out perfectly and helpful, you scry 1 for each blue one. Unfortunately, it just worked a little bit. Yet. I think if it was scry X, this would be perfectly. So you would scry X, and you would say for each blue spent, you get to look scry X, and you would do if you do 1 blue, you would scry 1. If it's 2 blue, scry 2. If it's 3 blue, scry 3. That I think would have to work. It's just a little bit needs to be worded a little bit. I think it's fair. It just needs to be at least a little bit 6 for me. I think, honestly, if it were worded properly, it would easily be a 9. It'd easily be a 9 for that one. Espionage. Oh! Create a colorless secret artifact token with 2 sacrifice artifact, draw a card, and discard a card. So it's blood. So you don't pay life. Look at the top 3 cards of your target opponent's library. Exile 1 of those cards face down. Put the rest in the bottom of your back, and for as long as you control a secret, you may look at the top exiled card, and you may cast it, and you may spend mana as though it was spent for mana of any type. That actually could work really well. Wow. I give it positive. I say it's a 9. The reason why I say it's a 9 because secrets don't exist regularly, but honestly, this works out really well. I think this is readable. I say 9 out of 10. I think I think if we actually had secrets, I could make it a 10 out of 10. It's a sorcery also. To rephrase that, I think it's a 10, but I think I think it's a 9, but if you put it as an instant, which I think it's reasonable to do that, then you could do that. Unless they don't want you. I can see it being a 10. I think it's reasonable. I think it's playable. Victor, Breaker of Hope. It's flash and flying. Whenever it enters the battlefield, sacrifice another creature. If you do, destroy target angel that can't be regenerated. Okay, that doesn't work. Here's the reason why. It doesn't say you may. It says, so it's it's worded improperly. So it should say, when this creature enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, then you destroy a creature and they can't be regenerated. That's the only thing. So it just as of right now, the reading text says that you would have to sacrifice a creature, and then because you did, you would destroy our angel people. Also, this card doesn't work. Well, rephrase that. I did not say it right. This card is too expensive for what it does. It's flash and flying. Okay, you can play it any time, but guess what? It costs 7 mana. Who does that? If you destroy an angel, if you're playing this angel, this is a card that's really good, but honestly, it's really expensive. I say cut it down to a 1. If you cut it down to a maybe 2 white, black, red, then it would work. It would be probably right. It's a little expensive as it is, and unfortunately, I'm gonna give it an 8. I think it's reasonable. I think it's a reasonable card. I think it's printable if you fix the text. All hope is lost. Wow. Let's go to the next one here. Knight's Stand. Gain an allied. Okay, I gotta skip this one. Gain an ally you 2+2+0. It's probably +2+0 this round. But this doesn't work because this doesn't actually do anything. It says gain an ally unit. That doesn't exist. So I have to skip this one. I can't give it a fair rating. Yoma. It's a mythic. It has haste and flying for 4. That actually I think is reasonable. I can even see it being a rare, to be honest. Being a mythic is a little bit overkill. It has haste and has flying. I say this is good. I say this is reasonable. I think it's a little bit, actually, I would say this is weird. I think it's actually a little bit too low in cost. I think you need to put up probably 4 in 1. I think it's reasonable though. For 5/4, that's reasonable. I think it's reasonable. I give this a 9. I think the cost could be a little bit altered a little bit. I think it could. It's either. I think either you've got to put it as a 2 blue or a 4 blue. I think it's reasonable though. For haste and flying, that's ridiculous. And haste is not something you see with a lot of blue creatures. So I think it's a little bit weird. It's a good job, Nick. Was it Nick Soundsword? Next card we got here is we're gonna skip that. It's just a defender. It's Octopus Defender. It was right. Snake. We can't do anything with it. 8 babies. Yes. It's an emblem. It says. Okay, this must be an emblem with a core, and honestly, I can't do emblems either because there's something that I don't know how they're created. Fever Dream. Target opponent exiles the top 2 cards of the library. That player may play those cards until end of their next turn. Deals 2 damage to the target player. Okay. This is interesting. Common? Probably. I think it's reasonable. The thing is, I don't know why you would ever cast this. I think it's the right cost. It makes sense. For a sorcery though, I don't know why you would cast this. Okay, I'm gonna let my opponent play top 2 cards of our library until next turn, unless. Oh wait a minute, you can't play them though. Yeah, I think it's a 9. I think it's actually the one thing is I'm a little worried that doesn't mean much for it. I don't think anyone will ever play this. There's shock for 1. There are some other cards that cost 2 that do exactly the same thing. I probably have several of them right now. Here, let's see. I don't see any right now, but yeah, I'll give you an example. Hexgold stage does 2 damage to target as a target creature. But honestly, you have shock, and there's some cards that I think honestly this card could be printable. I think it's printable. I'm gonna give it a 9 because of the fact is I think there's no reason anyone ever play this card, but it's a good card. Don't wake me up. I want to stay in. Oh boy. All right, next card we got here. Parasite Blue Jay. That's a little bit of weird art. Flying and lifelink for 2. For 1, 2. Yeah, it's printable. Printable. I think it's the right thing. It's the right cost. It might be a little bit overcost. I think you could potentially make it only 1 white, but I think it's reasonable. I'm gonna give it a 10. I think it's reasonable. Flying lifelink. I think honestly, with adding flying and lifelink, probably does make it. Yeah, it's 1, 2. Yeah, I agree with it. I agree. 10 yes. Favorite that, please. No, it's not. It's a snake. Locks, fire. I'm gonna skip this one as well. The reason why. Let's see. Is this created? Because I think this card already exists. Let's see here. That's the only thing I'm thinking. I think this card already exists. Okay, it does exist, kind of. The card that we're looking at here is a different thing, but okay. Let's see what it says. It says Flying in Haste. Red creatures have +2/+0 and indestructible. Okay, that explains why it costs so much. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may exile this card. Why would you want to do that? If you do, search library for a planeswalker called Murloc, which I guess there's a planeswalker called that he has made, and then put it onto your battlefield and turn. If I found that card, that would be great. Yeah, I think this is reasonable. I would have to look up see there is a card called that, but let's see. Is there a called that? We can move back. No. Okay. Okay. I think this is reasonable. It's a little. It's actually. I think honestly, that's probably right. I think I don't know what the card Mornox is, but I think it's reasonable. It's probably red, but I think it's reasonable. Printable. I say 9. The reason I say it's 9 because I think it might be a little too powerful. If you can get it out. Land. Dirt road. Okay, why would you ever use this, though, as a land? Oh, it's a mountain. It's a mountain, guys. It's a mountain, guys. We win. The problem is that means nothing. It just says it's a mountain. You can tap it, or in the right order. Pay 2, tap it, untap a card creature you control. Well, okay. It's not really a land then because it's more of an artifact or an enchantment. The thing is, the text here, the equivalent is a mountain, doesn't mean anything. It's a mountain. That means nothing because it's not a basic land. Reasonable. for like an enchantment. I think honestly, I think it's the wrong. I think it's just the wrong thing. I think put an enchantment or an artifact, it probably works out well. I think it's the right rating. It's just this was this word wrong. I say I'm gonna give this a 6. I think if you change it to something else, Stephen, too, it would make sense. Something different. Okay. I gave defense. I don't know. As long as you control, as there is a human creature on your battlefield, not needed to be controlled by you. Okay, so anybody has it. As long as there's one of that, but you didn't need to say that. But as long as there's a human creature on the battlefield. So basically, as long as there is a human creature somewhere on the battlefield, it has indestructible. Okay, so it doesn't have to be controlled by you, but I don't know. That just means the opponent will say, hey, you know, I'm going to destroy all my human creatures. Humans are white, generally. Yeah, this is reasonable. I think it's maybe not mythic. I'm going to give it a 9. I think it may be mythic, but I think it might be lower a little bit too. I think honestly I could see it as a rare. Mana cost seems reasonable to me. Giant snake form druid. It has Death Touch, and when a snake form druid attacks, you create a 1/1 snake with Death Touch for each creature attacking. Okay. Except here's a problem. You can't cast this. There's no mana cost over here. So it's just the card. You can't cast this. Bad news is that you can't cast this. If you could cast this, I would probably say it's probably a 2 and a green. There's just an error in this. With the right primer cost, let's say it's 2 and a green, because I think that makes sense for a 4/4. I say easily a 10. The problem is it's got an error in it. I would say 8. It does Death Touch. It's a good thing for all that. I think it makes sense if you put the mana cost down here. Unless it's a token or something. But it's not. It doesn't say token. So, yeah. Okay. 8. Something real to something. It's a white. I can't read this. I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt and go take to Google Translate because I can't read this. Google Translate.
According to Wikipedia, Google Translate is a multilingual neural machine translation service developed by Google to translate text, documents, and websites from one language into another.
Okay, that's what that means. Okay, well, I didn't need to know that, but in case you didn't know that, so it's called the Dream Fox. It's the Dream Fox that cannot be blocked. So it is a 1/1 that can't be blocked. Okay, for con, that's reasonable. I think it makes sense. 1/1. Yeah, I think it's reasonable. I would say 9. No, I gotta give it a 10. It is definitely the right thing. There's cards, honestly, by the way, that are blue, generally like 1 blue, that say it can't be blocked. There's also ones that say that just have blue. That explains why. Explains why the cards like that. I agree. This makes sense. I give it a 10. Good job, Sarah. Dragon. It's a green dragon. Blue Fire Phoenix. It costs 3. It has Flash and Flying. Whenever it dies, create a 1/1 white soldier. So you're downgrading. While it has Flash and Flying, and it dies, you get something. It doesn't make sense. I don't know why you want to cast this. I mean, no, it makes perfect sense. It's just why? I used to fly. I think it's a little bit underpowered. I think if you make it a 3/2 Flash Flying, that makes perfect sense. I think it's just unlimited. I'm gonna give it a 7. I do think it's a printable card. It's absolutely printable. Flash Flying, yes. There are cards in this set that have Flash and Flying. in the press previous stats to have that. So yeah, I agree. I think that's reasonable. Good job, Maribel. We got a cat that has sulk. Yay. Hunt the false light. Okay. Whenever hunt the battlefield, enters the battlefield, exile target creature for as long as it enters the battlefield. There's a lot of cards like this. When it enters the field. Wait. Okay. It's not the right word. Whenever it enters the battlefield. Whenever it enters the field, target creature you control gets hexproof for as long as it remains in the battlefield. Wow. Definitely rare. Absolutely. What was that? My phone just went off. Yeah. Definitely printable. 10. Good job, Bullis. I think the second line of text here kind of makes me question it a little bit. I think it's absolutely printable. It might make more sense in a night-based deck, so it wouldn't make sense in this one, but definitely printable. Definitely printable for this one. Offense, Yama. Okay, so it's Yama. It's 3-2 fly. Okay. Their cards like this as a uncommon. Yeah, I think it's printable. I don't see anything else with this. I don't see anything else to do with this. So, Master of the Shadows. But Flash. Whenever Master of Shadows or another non-token creature enters the battlefield, you do 2 damage to each opponent. Oh my goodness! Danger alert here. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Absolutely. I'm gonna say it might be one rating down. I would say giving us a 9. It's definitely printable, definitely playable. God, imagine making it. I would say you make us rare, and then it would be perfect. I'd say 9 out of 10. I think it absolutely is printable. Honestly, I can even see this being a legendary creature. Now, I'm not saying it has to be a legendary creature because it still makes sense as a non-legendary creature. Imagine having 40s in your deck, though. Defensive Mortal. It has Morph 2. You may cast this card face down for 2-2. Make a 2-2 creature for next. It's a 2-3, so basically, whenever this creature is tailored, it gains first strike permanently. That's not how. Okay. Okay. Why don't we just give it first strike? No, it doesn't quite work. This actually makes sense. I'm gonna say it's an 8. The reason I'm gonna say it's an 8 is because all you really need to do in this context is say, if you morph this creature, it has first strike. Otherwise, it's just 2-3. Absolutely, it's a good card. I'm gonna say 8. I think it's reasonable. Maybe a little expensive, but yes. Ring the Knight. It has protection from red, so it can't be to protect it from itself. That's not how it works. You don't protect from yourself. Other knights you control have +1/+0 in it. It's a hollow undead knight. Yeah, I agree. I think this makes sense. Yet, I can see it being legendary as well. Maybe it makes sense for it not to be legendary. Obviously, this would be really good. I don't think it'd be good at Commander, but yeah, I think it's reasonable. I'd say 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 for it. And protection, however, there's a weird thing for this. It has protection for red, so it can't attack itself. It can't be dealt damage. So protection means it can't be dealt damage by a sword, by any card that's colored, that is. So that's a good card. That's definitely a good card. I'm going to favorite this. Definitely a good card. Alright. Orange McGonagall. Is this supposed to be? As companion, you're starting hand in 6 instead of 7. Why would you play this as your companion? There is no reason to put this card as your. Okay, well it's a little bit yes. If you're starting hand in 6 instead of 7, there's no. Why would you would never play as your companion? I will say this. Companion means you put it on as outside your thing. You can play it later. Play it later. Return to your hand. So you play it for. Don't want. I think it's a mana call. You play. You put it into your hand for 3, and then you. Hit. Let's see what the air card says. It says whenever you sacrifice a creature, draw a card, discard a card. Okay, and then you can pay 1 black and tap it. To sacrifice a creature, search your library for a faithful card. I guess there's some other faithful cards. Reveal and put in your hand and shuffle your library. Okay. Is it printable? Yes. You would never use it as a companion. So it's going to be a 9 for me. You would never use this as a companion. There's no reason for it to be a companion. Also, Faithful's not a type, but I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt for this one. Moving on. What was that? It was Pierce Guy Fellow. That works in some way. No one ever uses a companion because you never want to start. You would never start with 6 instead of 7, unless there's some cards out there that give you an advantage for having less cards in your opening hand. All right, we got Skillful Banyan. It is a human rogue menace. As long as it's tapped, it gets +1/+0. Okay, what? Okay. That's useless. I would say you even lower this grade to a common because this is not good. It's a 1/1. That's when it's tapped is a 2/1. Now, it's playable. It makes sense. It does work. For 1 cost, that makes sense, and for menace, that's great. But there's this line of text is irrelevant because unless you okay. There is a situation you might use it though. It's +1/+0 net 0. So if you had something that says this target creature deals number damage to another creature, okay, I can see it. I'll give it a 9. Actually, I'm gonna give it a 10. I'm not favoring this because I don't think this actually works the way he think it does. But it's good. Rashiel, that's a good card. That makes sense. All right, let's see. Weapon of Mass Destruction. It's a mythic. Each creature is a sorcery. Each creature is dealt damage equal to the number of lands you control in the battlefield. Okay, just basically, it's a land. It's a card. For each creature destroys way, you create a colorless land token that has 1 mana of any color. Wow, that's broken. Alert! Just give that absolutely a 10. And definitely mythic. There's any way this could not be a mythic. Yeah, okay, you would never play this early. You would play this in a really late position. But, oh, wow. And also, if you were, like, really down, honestly, you would only do this really. You also do this mostly if you have few lands. If you're losing, you can't cast spells. You have 3 lands. Deal 3 damage to each card, and therefore creatures stored, you get a land. That's actually pretty good. I'm in favor of this. I think this makes sense. It's a little bit expensive, so I think it's a 10. I think it's a 10. Absolutely a 10. Clara offense Claymore. It's double strike. 5/3 double strike. Oh my gosh. Absolutely. It's a human. I don't know what the YAML is, but wow. 5/3 double strike. It's up this power 9 out of 10 because this has got to be at least 1 more power. Either 2 white or 3 white. It's a little bit too cheap, I say. But absolutely, double strike favorite. It's definitely correct. Definitely a good one. Master of Trees. May cast creature spells with power 4 or greater as if they have flashed. Okay. Wait, 4 or greater? Okay, I see this. You know, this makes sense. Yeah, I think it's really good. I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10. The reason I think it is, I think it's your catch controls for power 4 greater. It would be not something you would use. You would use something in more like a really powerful deck, maybe a tree folk based deck, or I don't know what frog decks they're out there. But yeah, I agree. I agree. This is a 10 out. This is definitely a platinum purple card. Okay. I'm gonna have to read this because I don't even know what the card name is, but let's just see. Deadly Contact with a Shadow Walker. Okay. Deadly Contact. When Shadow Walker arrives on the battlefield, put a prey marker on target creature and put whatever. The shadow creature can't be blocked by creatures with prey markers on it. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, this works. This works. This makes sense. I mean, obviously, obviously, that doesn't exist currently in Magic, but honestly, I think it makes sense. It's an assassin, I believe. Human assassin. It's this French, I believe. Yeah. French. It's okay. I'm gonna give it a 9. I don't. Since this currently doesn't exist, I'm gonna give it a 9. I'm gonna say it could work very well though in a much later position. Next card we got here is Defense Claymore. Absorb X1, where X is the number. Reach. That's way too expensive. Hold on. It says absorb X1, where X is the number of human creatures you control. I don't know what that means. Is absorb an ability in Magic? Is absorb a... It is an ability. Let's see what it does. Absorb in. If the source would deal damage to this creature, prevent any of that damage. Okay. Okay. I didn't know absorb was an ability, but yeah. Oh, X minus 1. That's what it's supposed to be. X minus 1. Yeah. I see it. Whenever it's deal damage, you basically, as long as you do 2 damage to it, it does 1 damage to it. That's good. If its source would deal damage to this creature, prevent X that damage. Yeah. This is perfectly reasonable. It's a little expensive, I think, but I'm going to give it a 9. I think it makes sense. I think it might be a little bit too expensive. That's my only critique on that. Next card we got is Halo Emperor of the Week. Okay, there's a lot of stuff on here. Whenever it enters the battlefield with power... Wait. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield with power less than this card, which was anything that has 2 power or less, put a 1/1 counter on it. When a creature with power greater than this enters the battlefield, leaves the battlefield basically. Choose 1. Put a 1/1 counter on this creature, but remove 1/1 counter from the weak, this creature. Or you create 1/1 soldier. Why would you ever want to remove the counters? I mean, I guess you want to make something. Yeah, this is reasonable. For 3 rounds, 10. Absolutely. I don't know why you would ever want to meet whatever creature. Yeah, I can see this. Whenever creature around player is dies, so you could want to remove counters. But honestly, there's actually no reason to this. Whenever creature with less, okay, yeah. So you would always, I think honestly, you would always want to put 1/1 counters on it when a creature enters the battlefield with power less than it, and then because it's going to be you get bigger and bigger. Yeah, I think this is perfectly reasonable. I'm gonna give this a 10. I think it's 100% printable. I would say it's not Wormspark. Prey Sandworm. Flash. Whenever it enters the battlefield, it's a 5-star creature. Fight means that whenever it takes a creature it takes itself or whatever creature units, and it deals damage to another creature. Nature. that creature also deals damage to it. But yeah, this is reasonable. I think it's a little expensive. I think you probably lower it down by 1. It would probably be reasonable, or even perfect. But yeah, I think it's reasonable. 10, easily 10 for this one. Come on, Mabel. Nice blessing. Grant an ally unit. I don't know what that means. Grant an ally unit at +2/+2. I'm gonna guess that it's like putting it. It's an enchantment, so you put it. So it's basically what it should say. And I'm gonna go. This is really going into a Gonix. It's to say a creature gets +2/+2. That's really what it is. +2/+2, and it's 3. Yeah, I think it's reasonable. I don't know what grant any unit means, but okay. I'm gonna give it a 9. I think honestly, if you did it correctly, then I think, well, yeah, I think you got it. It's a good card though. Or say, protection from Yama creatures. It's a human. It's a 1/1 human for 2. You probably could lower it down by 1, but yeah, okay. And for a common, that makes sense for me. There are a lot of creatures that cost 2 that cost 1, so yeah, I'm gonna give it a 10. Yama creatures don't exist, but yeah. So yeah, we'll go with that. That's printable. Ashmount. Flying. Whenever it enters battlefield, you may pay 2. If you do so, it becomes a 6/6 creature. What? Huh? So, if I'm understanding correctly, you can pay basically 5 for this and become a 6/6 creature. The problem is that doesn't specify what it means. Becomes a 6/6 creature. So really, what you should say is it gets a 1/1 counter. Place a 1/1 counter. If you pay 2, you get a 1/1 counter on it. That makes the most sense for me. It's just worded a little weird. I'm gonna give it an 8. I think it's printable, but you have to probably say if you may choose to pay 2. If you do, then put a 1/1 counter on it. That makes the most sense to me. Mythic. I could see it being mythic. I could see it. Maybe a rare. Maybe it's on the edge of being a myth. Maybe honestly, I think it'd be a little lower. I think I'm gonna give it an 8 because I think it could be a little bit low. I think honestly, rare is probably the better option. But yeah, I think that makes sense. Legendary dragon. I don't know wherever you want to. Why do you ever want to use as a legendary creature? But okay. That's not something I can do. Can't do tokens. Gravedigger of. We're gonna do 2 more here. Gravedigger of Gurnchild. Exile target card from your graveyard. Create a 2/2 zombie creature. Okay. That's 10. That's 10. Well, yeah, I don't know who would want to use this because there's plenty of cards that just do exactly the same thing that don't even require use of creatures. You can use it as a blocker, I guess. Not bad. Not bad. I'm going to give it a 10. 10 most attack favorable. Dark Sign. So that's what this is, I'm going to guess. It's 2/1. Yeah, it's 2/1. Most attack achievable. Okay, so Dark Sign. Whenever this creature dies, play a 2/1 hollow creature. Other hollow creatures is +1/+1. Okay. Dark Sign doesn't exist currently, but I have a lot of other things that don't exist too. So, I mean, honestly, this could work. This could work as a creature. I'm going to give it a 9. Because I don't know, because it's just not quite, it's not a thing that occurs. I'll give a lot of my cards 9s too, probably. Graveyard Guardian is we're going to do one more actually. When a creature dies, put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. Yeesh. Don't know why you ever want to play this creature, but it could work. It could work. I'm gonna give it a 10. I think it's playable. Makes sense. In a mill deck, like if you're trying to get stuff in your graveyard, yeah, that'd be great. Next, we're gonna do what's the last one, guys. This will be the last one we do. We'll have to go back to that emblem. +2 to exile a target card from a graveyard for 6. Or you -3 for exile target creature. Or you get an emblem at the beginning of your I'm not going to go back to Emblem because there's no point. You get P of your upkeep. You put an exile permanent onto the battlefield under your control. From a graveyard. Oh my goodness. No, this is definitely busted. There would be no way that MGT would not, that Wizards would not ban this card like immediately, because it is way too powerful, even for 6 mana. That's ridiculous. I mentioned it because you have 6. Let's see how many turns it take. 1 turn, 2 turn, 3. So we take 3 to 4 turn. On the 4th turn, you can use this ability, assuming that you don't get any damage to it. Yeah, that's ridiculous, and you can do this multiple times too. Wow. Absolutely. That's the last one we're going to do for today. Thank you guys for watching. If you like these kind of videos or want to let me see some other card creations, or let me look at these cards again, I think about this, I'd be happy to do more of these. I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget your game on, and have a good night. Wow, some of these cards are ridiculous.